Well, hello, everyone. And Kara, thank you for the introduction. I want to give a warm-hearted thank you to Sinclair for allowing me to participate in another wonderful Beauty Boss event. As Kara mentioned, dear friends, I've been in this industry going on 8 years now. Certainly feels a lot less than that, actually. I am the Director of Marketing for the PatientNow portfolio, so we have a couple different products in our portfolio. Are any of you guys PatientNow clients, by the way? You, sir? Has it been a good experience? Yep. Yeah. Nice. That's great.
And I will tell you, any drawbacks I have from PatientNow is I haven't been responsive to them, but they're on top of everything.
That's good.
They'll hit all the marks, and when they call, somebody answers the phone.
Nice. Well, that's lovely to hear. Thank you. We always appreciate that. Clients are what make our hearts so happy. So over the next hour, I'm going to be talking about something I am immensely passionate about, which is building trust with millennial consumers and prospects in this industry. So not only do I come to you guys from the industry business marketing side, I myself am a millennial aesthetic patient as well. So we're going to kind of mix those two perspectives together, if you will. Okay. All right. Has anyone heard of the tyranny of the urgent before? Nobody. Okay, so I like to start off a lot of my courses with this is a concept called the tyranny of the urgent, and the reason being is because these are things that we deal with every single day on a daily basis, operating and running our businesses, right, our practices, okay? So we're gonna unpack this very quickly. Quadrant 1 are important tasks, let's say, that are urgent, so they need to be done right away. Piece of equipment breaks, whatever it is. Plumbing problem, something horrible goes wrong in our practice. We have to deal with it, okay? Quadrant 3, non-important things that are also urgent. I would move phone calls and emails up into Quadrant 1 given our state, and that it's aesthetic medicine and cash pay medicine, but this is the concept we'll go with for now. So non-important things that are urgent, do them every day, right? But they aren't necessarily things that will push our business forward or make the biggest impact on our practice overall. 4 is busy work, distractions, things that don't impact our bottom line whatsoever, but we all do them and that's fine. And then Quadrant 2. So Quadrant 2 is what we're really going to be spending some time on today, which are non-urgent things, but they are critically important. And these are things that so often get put on the back burner, right? I don't have time, constantly making excuses, whatever it may be. So vision, mission, planning, clarifying values, relationships, and process improvement. So everything I'm going to talk about today as it relates to treating and acquiring and retaining millennial consumers is going to fall into this quadrant. All right, really quickly, I always like to start off with data. I believe Sally actually shared some great data yesterday from AmSpa's State of the Industry report as well. So you guys have probably seen already some of these numbers. So really quickly, 2021 record $15.7 billion year for the medical spa industry. By Q2 2022, medical aesthetic growth was 27%, double digits. 2022 last year, it was estimated to be a $17.8 billion industry. For 2022, the growth rate ranged from 4 to 10%. Q1 2023 overall industry growth still up, +5. We're not going the opposite direction, we're going up. And I know that and I believe it was the SkyTail folks, they were talking about the industry, it's not recession proof, but it is recession resilient if you have the right processes and strategy in place in your practice, and I couldn't agree with that more. So although there are a lot of macroeconomic factors, let's say, affecting parts of the industry, of course, it is still a resilient industry. Additionally, revenue for U.S. medical aesthetics manufacturers totaled $9 billion, will grow roughly 10%, or has grown roughly 10%. Spending among consumers is nearly 3 times that amount at $25 billion. And then in segments popular among younger consumers, millennials, right? Such as facial injectables, growth rates can be as high as 12. So really quickly, and there's a reason why I wanted to show this slide specifically. Okay, so if we take a look at the total addressable market and the serviceable market in medical aesthetics, we have a very underpenetrated market. So if we want to take a look and go a little bit more granular into some data, okay, so 18.75% of our serviceable market has had some type of aesthetic treatment, whatever it is, okay? Only 7.5% have ever received injectables before. So less than 10% of the aesthetic market has even been tapped into. And only 1.25% have even had a skin tightening procedure. So when people say the aesthetics industry is saturated, I wholeheartedly disagree with that statement. It is nowhere near saturation. Saturation comes when there are too many providers, too many clinics to serve the market, right? We are actually in the opposite of that, where we actually have a shortage of nurse injectors, for instance. Additionally, 2021, 7,000, a little over 7,000 med spas, 2022, 8,800. Average monthly revenue, 121K, and I want us to remember, I'm gonna bring up this number later on, okay? And this is very important as it relates to membership programs as well. So average monthly revenue, 121 for your typical medical spa. Average patient spend, 536. I personally find this very, very low. I think it should be double than that, which is just an opportunity for all of us. And then patients per month, 289 or 283 for single location, 525 for multi-location. Okay, so now let's set the stage and get into the good stuff. So aesthetic medicine is elective, which means consumers in this industry have a what? What do they have? Come on, you guys. I'm gonna start calling on people. You, ma'am, in the front row. It's elective medicine, right? What do they have? Disposable income. What does elective mean? A choice. Yes, they have a choice. They have a choice between going to you for their aesthetic treatments and procedures, cash pay medicine, or they have the choice of going elsewhere. Or they have the choice of spending absolutely nothing on aesthetic treatments at all, right? And even when it comes to your existing dental patients, let's say, they also still have a choice. Are they going to go to you for their aesthetic treatments, or are they going to go elsewhere, right? These are things that we all need to keep in mind. Competitive, yes, not saturated. Consumer awareness is up, demand is up. Millennial generation is feeding market growth, which is what we're going to talk about today. And this is why. So really quickly, to give you guys kind of a taste of generational aesthetics, let's say, and this was a manuscript research paper I wrote last year. It was peer-reviewed and published in the Plastic and Aesthetic Nursing Journal. If anyone wants a copy, I'm happy to give you the unpublished manuscript. It's 30 pages. I would rather listen to someone do a presentation for an hour than read a 30-page peer-reviewed article. But very important data within this, okay? So in 2020, it was forecast the global medical aesthetic industry would grow 14.9% compound annual growth rate, be worth 22.5 billion by the end of 25. Boomers, okay. Boomers currently hold 24% of the market share. Gen X, 41. So Gen X does currently have the majority of the market right now. Millennials, while they only have 22%, let's say, so a fifth, a little over a fifth, they are the only market expected to increase, okay? So Gen X and Boomers, their market share is not going to go up. It's going to go down. And as those market shares go down, the millennial generation, which is the only generation with full purchasing power, Gen Z does not have full purchasing power. Millennials do. They are the only consumer group right now with full purchasing power expected to increase market share. So given this data, what generation should we probably have a plan and a strategy to effectively market to? Millennials, yes. Do we have any millennials in the room, by the way? Yes. So millennials is, actually I think I have that on the next slide. There we go. Okay, millennials 27 to 42. And then Gen X would be 42. Someone can probably Google it or look at Pew Research. It's 43 to probably like 60 something, I would assume. And then Boomers would obviously be above that. But you can definitely find that info on Google. But millennials, which we're going to focus on today for sure, 27 to 42. So now actually how many millennials do we have? Probably a couple more. Probably some of us who didn't even know we were millennials, right? And millennials, yes, we do have some stigmas attached to us as being lazy and not brand loyal. But in aesthetic medicine, we are the most valuable consumer group, okay? Yes? Right, so because of the age range, so 27 to 42, they are 100% in the workforce, right? So Gen X, I think it's like 10 to 26 now, right? A 10-year-old is not going to have full purchasing power, right? So that's what determines it. So all of those 3 generations have full purchasing power, but in terms of aesthetic market share and which generations are anticipated to increase versus decrease, millennials is the only generation expected to increase. Is that helpful? Yes. Cool. All right, why are we talking about millennials today? We're going to speed through this. Prevention versus correction, right? Millennials are very hyper-focused on being preventative. The average toxin user comes in at a much younger age because the big thing here, honestly, is because they enter the market at a younger age, they have a higher patient lifetime value. So what is patient lifetime value? Anyone want to venture a guess?
How much they spend over their lifetime.
Yes. Answers in the word itself, patient lifetime value, right? So if we go back to, okay, the AMSPA report saying that the average per visit spend is $536 an appointment, if you drop the ball in a consult, if you drop the ball over the phone, whatever happened, you can't think to yourself, oh, maybe I lost $500, $600, $1,000 from whatever that patient was going to spend. What you lost was the lifetime value. That's how you need to think about it. So if we even want to be conservative with numbers, I mean, over a 7-year time span, a millennial consumer could easily spend 50 grand, I would say. 40 grand, let's say. We really want to break it down. Someone who's religious with their treatments. And of course, wider social acceptance. Social media comes in play here. We'll talk about that. Okay, so what do millennials value and how can we cater to their unique nuances? All right, these are the 5 values of millennials. Millennial consumers in aesthetic medicine. Convenience doesn't mean we're lazy, just means we have the internet, smartphones, all these wonderful things and pieces of technology at our fingertips. So we want access to information quickly. Choices, we went over this. Experiences. Authenticity, definitely. Millennials know when they're being sold. And relatability as well. And if you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. Cliche quote, but I find it very relevant because given the state of the industry right now, we have to have a plan for targeting, treating, building trust, and retaining millennial consumers in our practice, or else we are going to get left in the dust, honestly, over the next several years. And other practices in our local market will gain market share, and we will lose market share. So here are the core 4 strategies I teach. We're going to go through each of these, probably spending the most amount of time. Probably the first one, we'll probably fly through the second one and then end on the last 2. So connectivity, optimizing the follow-up. Follow-up is big. It's a massive profit leak too, massive. Relationships and experiences. All right, 2 ways to acquire a new millennial patient. There's only 2. The first is new entrants into the market, okay? So this would mean that millennial consumer has never had any type of aesthetic treatment or procedure in their life, and you capture them before your competition captures them, okay? And then the second way is you steal them. It's true. Not kidding, right? So you steal them from the practice down the road, you steal them from the person sitting next to you, whatever it is. And if a millennial consumer is thinking of finding a new aesthetic provider, let's just say, where are they going to go to start researching? Google, online, the internet, absolutely. And there's a lot of clutter to cut through, let's say, so I'm going to try to make it as simple as possible for all of us. All right, true or false, 93% of millennial consumers don't go past page 1 of Google. Who would say that's true? Absolutely true. Has anyone gone to the second page of Google? I've literally never gone. I wonder what it looks like. And you know, this is even if we're not a millennial, I mean, this is probably relevant for older generations too. So long story short, if you're not on the first page of Google, right, you're not going to be found in the eyes of a millennial consumer. And I'm not going to go into SEO or website stuff today. I really wanted to focus on some other key things. So I did want to stop and talk about the importance of your Google business profile because it's something that we just all assume is accurate or being taken care of, and it can actually result in a lot of not just opportunities, but also leaks in terms of profit as well in your practice when it comes to lead conversion. So long story short, we're all local businesses, right? The majority of our patients are probably only going to drive from what, like a 20-mile radius, let's say max or so. So when someone is searching for these aesthetic cash-based treatments online, because we're a local business, they will land on your Google business profile. So this is essentially the first stop before your website, right? And we're going to go into a couple of components within this. So once again, it seems like common sense. Is it accurate and optimized? Name, phone number, address, all these things. We just assume it's being taken care of. I have a story of a client I worked with, gosh, probably like 7 years ago, and she came to us and she was freaking out. She was losing so much business. She's like, I don't know what's going on. I'm losing all of these consultations I'm scheduling. For some reason, people keep going to my old office location, things like that. She didn't even think to check her Google business profile. That was the first thing we found. Easiest fix, took 2 seconds, right? So she basically had her Google business profile. It was right at that time. Outgrew her space, moved to a larger space across town, never updated her Google business profile. So patients do what I would do. I go in my car, I put my GPS on, and you're going to do the maps from your Google, right? We all probably do that. I live in Orlando. I use the maps for everything. It's crazy to get around in that city, even though I've been there for like 12 years. Additionally, the reason this is so important is practices with complete optimized location listings receive 52 more clicks. I could go into this topic for another 30 minutes. We're not going to do that today because there's a lot more ground I want to cover. Okay, so this is interesting. So this was a cosmetic consumer analysis we ran on the RX photo side of our business probably about 2 or so years ago. So we paid Google money to conduct this survey. And it was insights taken from it was a little over 1,000 millennial consumers researching cosmetic procedures online. So really quickly, and there were more questions, I just pulled out the ones that are relevant to today's session. When researching an aesthetic practice or provider, what pages on their site interest you the most? Before and after, photos, and reviews. 2 of the most critically important things in our practice, yet often very neglected. And they're 2 simple things if we want to kind of think about it, right? Reviews, ensuring your happy patients who freaking love you leave reviews, particularly on Google. And before and after photos, right? And they need to be, we'll go into all of these things. They need to be consistent. They need to be frequent. Reviews need to be frequent. So these are 2 very important topics we're going to cover. Would you consider reaching out to a practice that didn't have a prominent before and after gallery? For some reason, 25% said yes. So the only reason I can justify this in my own head as a millennial consumer is if they were going to social media and seeing before and after photos there or in the practice, right? I would never get a medical aesthetic treatment without seeing before and after photos. Never. It is medical, right? And now reviews. Okay. So in the eyes of a millennial, unfortunately, it's true. You're only as good as Google says you are, particularly with reviews. Okay, so even though we may be the best injector in the entire universe, if we have 0 Google reviews or 5 Google reviews, does that build trust? No. You couldn't pay me to go to someone that had 2 Google reviews, 5 Google reviews. That does not build trust whatsoever for millennials. They value reviews. We all read reviews. How many people in this room read reviews? Everybody. We all read reviews. 95% read reviews before reaching out to a practice. 94% have avoided a practice due to 1 bad review. Just 1. How many of you guys have had a bad review before? Nobody? Okay, a couple of you guys. If we have a process in place of getting reviews, gaining reviews from our patients, it is inevitable at some point in time, one of us will receive a negative review. Whether it was the fault of the practice, whether it was a crazy, difficult patient, we all probably deal with those from time to time, right? It's unfortunate, but we just need to be proactive and not reactive with it, I would say. So how do you combat that? And if I'm truly being honest here, and actually from an industry stat perspective, I would argue it's a little higher than this, depending where you source the data from. In terms of reviews, you need at least 17 positive to outweigh every one negative. Okay, 17. If you look at other places for stats, it can go up into the 40s. So let's just say the bare minimum is 17. Let's just use that number. So for every one negative review, you need 17 positive to level the playing field. And what number of reviews should you strive for? Okay, so for some reason, and this is just consumer perception as it relates to millennials, triple digits. The magic 100 number, that should be your first goal. Get to 100. Use it as your first benchmark. And then keep going, don't stop. Average rating, I would say 4.8 is ideal or above. If we want to go a little lower than that, we can. There may be some patients you lose here and there, prospects, let's say. I would say 4.8 or above. If we're 4.6, I think that's okay, from my perspective as a consumer. All right, how to improve your review strategies. So there's two tactics. I call them brain tactics and brawn tactics. So brain tactics would be fueled through technology, okay? Things that are scalable and repeatable in your process. So having some type, and there's plenty of them out there in the industry, some type of reputation management software to help automate emails and text messages, soliciting reviews from your wonderful patients, and beyond that, they need to be tailored based on treatment or procedure received, right? And this applies for dental too. You know, if someone just had a consultation with you, you don't want to ask them to leave your practice a review, right? You ideally would want them to leave you a review after they finish treatment or see final results from HA filler, toxin, laser skin resurfacing, whatever it is. So just being mindful and finding a technology that can customize that as well. As well as an integration we have at PatientNow that actually does that. And you can add it on into your EMR and things like that. But there are other systems out there. I'm not up here to sell you guys anything. All right, brawn tactics. So brawn tactics are harder to implement because they require people and processes. So brawn tactics would be actual training, talk tracks. What are we going to say to Susan when she is checking out at the front desk to set expectations that we are going to be asking her for a review, right? So, hey, Susan, it was so great to see you as always. You know, we're beyond happy you had a phenomenal result with Injector Lindsay. Just so you know, within the next 24 hours, let's say you're going to be receiving an email or a text message from our practice kindly asking you to review us on Google. As you can imagine, we're a small business. The results we achieve for our patients, just like you are, the lifeblood of our clinic, it would mean the world to us if you left us a review on Google. And people say, no one's going to leave reviews. Like, my patients never leave reviews. If you have the right talk tracks, you're genuine, you're authentic, you have a documented process, you mean it, you care about it, and you have the technology to assist with it. Let's say I had a phenomenal experience. The next day, I'm still feeling great. My skin looks amazing, and I receive a text message on my practice kindly asking me to review Injector Lindsay, whatever her name was, on Google, the practice, with a link to go there, right? So easy. We just have to make it as easy and simple as possible as it relates to millennials, because going back to their 5 values, the first value, who remembers it? Convenience. A big value, right? Additionally, 4 out of 5 patients, this was part of that RX photo analysis, view a practice's before and after gallery. So long story short, I want to go through before and after photos really quickly today. Obviously, we want to make sure we have a before and after gallery on our website. We should all have one. I prefer it if they're categorized and segmented based on treatment, age, Fitzpatrick skin type, whatever you want to do. Of course, they need to be high quality. That should be common sense for all of us. Consistent photos. Obviously, if you just buy a device, let's say you're going to get before and after photos from